And welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. Just a few months before the midterms, the Democrat Party dealing with dual crises. The socialists are surging, terrifying moderate voters, and the party itself is flat broke. The New York Times reporting DNC leaders are asking vendors to stop sending bills to the party until after the election. Reports of rage fits, phone throwing, emotional breakdowns, crybaby staffers losing it over at the DNC. Democrats right now are $2 million in debt, while Republicans have $128 million in cash on hand. And that's after they won the last election. The DNC had to put its headquarters up for collateral just to secure a meager $15 million loan as the largest political party in this country. They had to put up their headquarters as collateral. Between the disastrous 2024 election and now the communist takeover, donations are drying up. The president today slamming the Democrat Party and where it's headed.
To the Union speech, I said, we will never be a socialist country. But I was right. We're going to be a communist country. That's what they want. They skipped socialism. Can you believe it? But communism is the greatest threat to our country in history, and this is a serious threat because they're going to promise all sorts of things. In 1 year, the country will be absolutely bankrupt. You'll live in squalor. You'll live in fear. You won't have police. You won't have firemen. You won't have anybody.
President today talking about the economy in Michigan and again highlighting exactly where this is a two-party system. Where one of these two parties wants to take us is a very, very, very dark road. It is scary. Democrats are hoping to overperform in November to pull the party out of the rut that it is in. But let's look closer at exactly how they got to where they are. How did they get to $2 million in debt as this massive political party in this country? Obviously, they took a major fundraising hit after losing to Trump in his third attempt at the White House. We know that. But perhaps what happened next is as much to blame. And that would be Trump's evisceration of U.S. aid and the end of yet another pipeline of federal money that always seems to find its way back into the hands of the Democrat Party. Just like the green energy scam and all that money that they put into all those big bills they're so proud of, and they give it to all their buddies in California that own all those big companies, and then all that money gets filtered right back to Democrats so they can win elections. Just like that, federal aid, U.S. aid, has long been a scheme by Democrats to shore up their own power. A reporter from the Daily Signal laid out how it all works while testifying in front of Congress last year. Take a listen.
I found that leftist elites prop up NGOs that staffed and advised the Biden administration, pushing unpopular policies on the American people through the bureaucracy. The left's dark money network features George Soros, the Tides Foundation, and the network of nonprofits established by Arabella Advisors. These groups, which you can see on this chart, funnel cash to DEI, transgender, and climate alarmist causes, divisive issues that the Biden administration prioritized over addressing the concrete needs of the American people. The left's dark money network has deep ties to USAID.
So you think about it, it's like, why do they care so much about climate change? Why do they talk about this all the time? Why is that such a big issue for them? Why do they care so much when we're $38 trillion in debt? Why do we care so much about sending all this money all over the world? Did you really think that the government was that virtuous? That they cared that much about saving the world? That they cared that much about climate, the planet? No. All of this is about them. It's all about their power. USAID was about them. USAID was about their power. That money has an agenda that is far beyond just feeding African kids. And since Trump entered the arena, the Democrat Party has become the de facto party of the establishment American government. And USAID money was manipulated to help Democrat causes here domestically because their top priority became taking the government back from Trump. Again, just like green energy, it was all about them, their control, their power. The government controlled by globalists, as we know it is, using your money to fund their own personal agenda. What you need, as he just said, was completely obsolete. They're thinking about what they want, what they need, and where they need to put money to make that happen. And that's why they freaked out so badly when USAID was gone.
This is what the beginning of dictatorship looks like.
I'm sorry that you have to put up with this offensive bull coming out of this White House.
We are going to fight in every way we can.
This is a constitutional crisis.
We have got to tell Elon Musk, nobody elected your ass.
It is time, as the African spiritual says, for us to lift every voice in condemnation.
You see that fury? Again, a country that's $38 trillion in debt. The moment we're not allowed to send billions of dollars all over the world, they lose their minds. Have you ever seen them that heated about any domestic issue, ever? They lost it over USAID. It made it possible for them, of course, to do so much. It made it possible for Democrats to push an agenda completely untethered from American voters. It created that wide gulf between what voters actually want and what they get when they vote in large. In a lot of ways, both parties in this country, but certainly with the Democrat Party, totally untethered from the American voter, because their agenda was being pushed internationally in this very, very divisive way. And it's just one of the many vessels that's disappearing your hard-earned dollars into the abyss. All that money just gone somewhere else, coming back to them, again, just like Green, USAID, same thing. And amid endless stories of fraud and waste, we now learn that, of course, you just heard from her, Ilhan Omar's sister was also in on the USAID grift. Ilhan's sister, a Somalian refugee whose sister is a congresswoman, founding a group called Grit Partners Consulting, working with USAID and also the CDC, securing $20 million in federal funding, because Ilhan Omar knows how to set her people up. She understands how it all works, and she just sets them up. She knew all those fraud guys in Minneapolis, all those restaurant owners that were stealing all that money. This is all just one big scam. You wonder what her sister did with all that cash. I'm sure she was really using it for the best interests of whatever world ill she was trying to cure. What did she do with all that cash? Third world Somalians are cleaning up in this country because of this. Just another part of this larger scam. Ilhan, their queen, has set them all up. All right, Senator Tommy Tuberville joins us now. Sir, good to have you back on. You know Washington better than most people. When the administration and the State Department dismantled USAID, and that made such a big splash, how damaging was that, do you believe, to the Democrat Party apparatus in Washington?
Well, everything's adding up, Rob. They are really struggling raising money. It looks like that they're trying to even sell off some of their property to try to get some of their money back that they've spent over the last few years. They're having a tough time. USAID, the NGOs, we all knew they were getting money from somewhere, and we're keeping a better eye, too, on money coming from overseas, from China and some of these other countries. But we knew they couldn't raise that much money. There were enough $5 and $10 donors out there to raise the millions and millions that they're raising. Look at what Kamala Harris spent. She spent, over $1 billion in a 3-month period. But it's pretty much all come to a stop. We're saving the taxpayers' money now. President Trump's done a great job of finding out where that money's coming from, and it's working out pretty good for us on the Republican side.
Do you think there's a couple different reasons why they're broke right now? Is it a combination of the devastating loss in 2024, also USAID, also this push toward the radical left? I think all of that is adding up to where they are financially.
Oh, 100%. There's no doubt. You know, when you start talking about socialism and communism in your party, and you have people like AOC, Mamdani from Uganda 8 years ago just moved here. Gavin Newsom, he couldn't run a circus. I mean, this guy's run California into the ground. When you got these people as your leaders, who in the world wants to give it to them? The corporations are not going to do it. They understand where this country's going, and they want to make sure we stay a constitutional republic. So everything's kind of adding up on the Democrats right now. It's going to backfire. We knew it was going to come sooner or later, but Just wait and see if they get a influx of money for the next few months. I don't think it'll happen, but some people say they will.
Yeah. Let's talk about New York for a second. Zoran Mamdani, our mayor here, our socialist mayor, announcing, had a big press conference today regarding these 5 city-run grocery stores that he says will all be open by 2029. Take a listen to some of this news conference today.
City government is stepping in to make people's lives more affordable. Today, I am proud to announce a collection of essential staples that will be predictably 30% cheaper at all 5 of our city-run grocery stores. Once a month, our 5 city-run grocery stores will set prices for this core set of goods at 30% below typical retail prices. No exceptions, no gimmicks. That means no weekly fluctuations nor sticker shock at the checkout line.
So he said no exceptions. He said no gimmicks. Senator, the entire thing is a gimmick. You're going around the marketplace. You're subsidizing it with tax dollars to give what is going to be a small percentage of the people in this city a very good deal on whatever amount of groceries they can hoard out of this place at 7 a.m. every day when it opens before the shelves are barren by 9 o'clock in the morning. And somehow you think that's going to have a positive impact on the city at large. It's almost hard to explain how stupid these people are with ideas like this.
You're exactly right. It'll be devastating to a lot of things there. Unfortunately, they'll start counting on it. There's one reason that we give SNAP cards is for people that need food, that don't have the opportunity to have a job. But at the end of the day, Rob, if people want to do what's right and they want to make themselves better, go get a job. Go out there and work. And, don't lean on somebody else. Don't lean on the federal government. But this is socialism and communism at its best. And it won't last long. I think they're spending the first few months $90 million on this nonsense. The American people should be appalled across the country because we're only having this in New York, the top and most renowned city in the world where you have opportunities galore to get a job. But we're having to open up these grocery stores for illegals, basically, Rob. It's going to be illegals that don't have money to try to get their vote. And
our condolences to anybody that owns a bodega or a grocery store or a little mini mart within a mile of any of these ridiculous city-subsidized grocery stores, because they are going to be wiped out handily. Senator, it's good to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, Eric Eggers, Vice President of the Government Accountability Institute, back with us tonight. Tyler O'Neill, you just heard from him, senior investigative reporter at the Daily Signal. Good to have you both here. Tyler, that was great from last year in front of Congress. You've investigated USAID. How much were those various programs, so many of which have been shut down, how much were they propping up the Democrat Party?
Well, so the way they propped up the Democratic Party was not usually direct. I think it's very important to say, as I did then, that we have this vast NGO apparatus, what I refer to as the Woktopus in my book with that title, that puts out these activist demands and infiltrated and brainwashed the federal government under President Biden. And I mean, their tentacles are still in the federal government as we speak. President Trump has done yeoman's work. He's been hacking off the tentacles one by one. And USAID was a very big one. It's one of the most obvious ones. And so you look at the way that USAID directed money to places like the Tides Center, the Tides Foundation, which is one of the biggest dark money behemoths on the left. You look at some of the NGOs that were connected to the artist formerly known as Arabella Advisors. These are groups like 1630 Fund that received money from overseas and directed it to our ballot initiatives in various states. Now we have states that are cutting off that funnel of money. But, the left's dark money apparatus is nothing to sniff at. And cutting off USAID is a very important step. I mean, the reason why it sent them all into hysterics was because it's the engine, it's the obvious, the most obvious one, the sacred cow. But as we're seeing in Minnesota, the grift is very strong with the so-called progressive movement. And the deeper you dig,
let me bring Eric. Yeah, absolutely. Let me bring Eric into this. I mean, you heard the soundbite there. It started with Ilhan. You had Cory Booker, everybody. The rage when you cut off U.S. aid. And you're thinking to yourself, like, why do they care that? I mean, it's like maybe they'd be disappointed we can't fund whatever education in Uganda or something like that. But why are they so angry, Eric? There's more to it than what they say.
Well, obviously, and I think you've done a great job of connecting some dots. What do USAID, the Minnesota Welfare Program, and the DNC have in common? All three entities that are now basically bankrupt or out of money or rife with fraud because they were run by Democrats. So why is Cory Booker screaming in unhinged rage at the elimination of fraudulent-based aid that's going to go to all kinds of things that no one in America supports?
Yeah.
It's because, like, if you're a senator, like, what else is Cory Booker doing other than supporting programs like this that go to his constituents or other special interest groups? Like, what is Ilhan Omar doing other than, as you noted, taking care of her Somali constituents? And you pointed out, and I think people forget this, she was even in a dang commercial for the restaurant that was at the center of the Feeding Our Future scandal. So, like, these Democrats, you cannot remove them from the fraud.
She knew all those guys, Eric. I've got literally 10 seconds, so, Eric, really quick, back to you. What are the chances that her sister's consulting firm was in any way legitimate?
I think you know the answer to that. What are the chances that she's involved in only government-backed programs? So I think you asked and answered, Rob.
Gotta leave it right there, just on time. Good to see you guys. Eric Eggers, Tyler O'Neill. The book, by the way, Woke-topus, like octopus with woke on the front. That's a great name for a book. Thanks so much, guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, ICE is coming for thousands of Haitians as the, quote, temporary protected status scam is finally over. But why are a few Republicans fighting to keep all of these refugees here forever? We've got that coming up next. And then later, highlights from the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
And no, it was not easy finding shoes to go along with your bulletproof vest.
Whenever news breaks.
A lot of destruction there. It was really the front lines in the battle.
And wherever it happens.
Humanitarian corridors opened up this morning.
We're trying to go rescue a 96-year-old lady that doesn't have anybody to take care of her.
They're using ingenuity. They refuse to give up.
It's incoming fire. Come on. Yeah, let's get down here.
Newsmax is there for you.
Kevin Sorbo here, and I have an important message to share. The government needs more money, your money. If you owe the IRS back taxes, they can garnish your wages and levy your bank accounts. They can even seize your retirement or take your home. Don't let the IRS target you. Call the professionals at Tax Network USA. Their tax lawyers and enrolled agents are experts in powerful programs that may even help you eliminate your tax debt.
Call for a free consultation or visit tnusa.com.
The pain is gone. It's gone. I was wheeled in. I couldn't even move 5 feet without the wheelchair. I was in awful pain.
Are you able to get onto the bed?
I doubt it.
No?
We went through the whole intake interview, did the MRI, x-rays. I was awake through the surgery, came back to recovery. I was there for 10 minutes, and I got up and I walked.
Venati succeeds where others fail.
I'm Terry Collins, former manager of the New York Mets. I do everything I possibly can to help the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. It's because of what Tunnel to Towers does every day to help our first responders, our military and veterans. What Tunnel to Towers has done, it's incredible. Just $11 a month will make a big difference. Go to T2T.org for more information on how you can help transform lives. Let's go Mets, and let's support Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
My dad has never been in better shape. He had a stroke and passed away. He had a life insurance policy. Ethos.com. In 10 minutes, you can be covered with life insurance.
Check your price today at ethos.com.
My heart has experienced life-changing wins, losses, and countless miles. To keep living at my speed, I trust Cunol CoQ10. CoQ10 is the #1 cardiologist recommended supplement for heart health. Cunol, the brand I trust.
Administration gearing up for a massive deportation blitz of nearly 350,000 Haitians. They're temporary, as they've called it for the last several years, protected status, expiring today. The green light given by the Supreme Court in a ruling last month. Plans include detaining Haitians in Ohio, where large communities live in cities like Springfield, dumped there by the Biden administration. Remember all the people coming in under the bridge? It was a culture crisis in Springfield, Ohio, that the president famously exposed to the entire country at a 2024 presidential debate, how one small American city had just completely changed, didn't even look like anything like it had in just a matter of a couple of years. Most Haitians were given TPS. They came in under Biden. Nearly 91% of them came in under Joe Biden, ballooning the number in the country from 55,000 in 2021 to over 300,000 by 2025. All Haitians. Most came from safe third countries, which means they had no right to come here, like Chile and Brazil. Their entry had nothing to do with that devastating earthquake from 16 years ago. They came in the last several years. And according to the Center for Immigration Studies, 65% of Haitians are on some kind of welfare in this country, paid for by you, the American taxpayer. They are a public charge. They are a burden on our society. Of course, Democrats want them here because they want to get them voting, because anybody that's on welfare is a gold mine for a Democrat politician. But even some Republicans, like Ohio Congressman Mike Turner, are also demanding that they stay.
Our governor, Mike DeWine, and myself and others who have individuals in our community who are going to be affected are certainly advocates for these individuals to be able to stay in our communities, who are working and contributing. They're valuable people in our community,
and
we
voted
certainly
for
hope
Congress to extend
we certainly hope that they can stay and be able to contribute into our communities.
So again, they illegally seeked asylum, coming from a safe third country. Game in the system, 65% on welfare, and that's how a Republican sounds. Chad Wolf ran DHS in Trump's first term. Todd Bensman, former DHS advisor. Good to have you guys both here. Chad, temporary is supposed to be temporary. Why is Mike Turner talking like this?
Well, it's a great question. Temporary is just that. Unfortunately, we've sold this lie to all of these individuals from countries like Haiti or Venezuela or anywhere else that if you come into the United States on TPS, well, you just get to stay here for decades. And in this case, Haiti for over 16 years. That was never the way that TPS was imagined, written into law. And if Congress wants these individuals to come and to stay, well, then they need to pass a new law that gives them some type of permanent status. But temporary is just that. It's temporary. You need to come. You need to get the protections that TPS provides, but then you need to return back home. But the reality is none of these folks, whether you're from Haiti or Venezuela or from any other TPS country, the vast, vast majority of them never leave. And the Trump administration knows that, and they've put a stop to it.
Right. Todd, the same question to you. Republicans fighting against these removals. Is it as simple as these economies like in Ohio? We also have New York as well, where do large amounts of them do work that they don't want to lose? They don't want to lose that labor?
That's right. They're labor serfs. They're cheap. They're easy to push around. They're not going to complain. You can threaten them if they complain about anything, and that makes for a really good, compliant employee. Unfortunately for them, American citizens employees are not so push-aroundable. And so, of course, they want the compliant Haitian. But to your point earlier, I think it's important to recognize that very, very few of these Haitians ever qualified for TPS. TPS was applied for and granted fraudulently. The vast majority of Haitians were living safely, prosperously, and permanently with status in Chile and Brazil and some other countries, but mostly those two. They hadn't lived in Haiti in years and years and years. I never met one coming from, most of the Haitians that I met spoke Portuguese.
Yeah, exactly. That's Brazil. Isn't that, it's so interesting how, and then you add to that the fact that you got the public charge, they're on welfare. You have all of these different reasons why we need to remove these people. It's also, again, it's temporary. We're not supposed to adopt the world. If we were going to do that, we should start sending ships to every third world country and just bringing them back. That's not the point of the United States. It never was. Chad, real quick before I let you guys go, Senator Eric Schmitt revealing a memo from the Biden White House detailing how Joe Biden was advised to hamstring Trump by placing 3.1 million non-citizens on temporary protected status, locking into a de facto amnesty, I should say, before he left office, shielding them from deportation. They basically wanted to just totally screw up this whole system right before Trump came into office. Does that not feel inherently treasonous to you, to try and poison this thing right before Trump gets in?
Well, it certainly does, and they know the facts, which is as long as you can bring someone here under, quote, a legal system, right? So in this case, TPS. We also saw that President Biden did this under parole status as well. Whether it's fraudulent or not, once they're here, it's very difficult to remove them, right? We see what ICE is doing now, having a difficult time deporting these millions of folks, and the Biden administration knew this. And so hell or high water, they were going to get folks in the country and then figure it out from there. And of course, that's the challenge that the Trump administration, ICE, Tom Homan, and others have before them today.
Absolutely. Todd, I got 20 seconds left, but just to speak to that, how disgusting what we saw in that administration was as far as immigration.
Well, it was by design. It was purposeful. They had very smart lawyers crafting all of the policies in advance before the administration took over, and they just opened the spigots wide and let her rip. That's what happened.
It's amazing to look back on. And again, how Mayorkas is not in a jail cell, that's an atrocity to me. These guys belong in one. Chad Wolf, Todd Bensman, good to see you guys. Thanks so much. All right. Senator Rand Paul gets his hands on Tony Fauci's diary. Up next.
I've been in the fitness industry for more than 25 years, and Fatty 15 is a built-in recovery system for your cells. You can't have a healthy outside if you're not taking care of the inside. Try Fatty 15.
If you have wet AMD or DME, you never want to lose sight of the things you love. And your condition doesn't have to steal the moment. Long-lasting Eylea HD delivers powerful vision improvements that can save your vision for the future. Eylea HD is the first and only treatment for wet AMD and DME that gives you a chance for 5 months between injections after 1 year of successful response. Don't take Eylea HD if you have an eye infection, eye pain, redness, or are allergic to it. Eye injections like Eylea HD may cause eye infection, separation of the retina, rare but severe swelling of blood vessels in the eye, or increased eye pressure. There is an uncommon risk of heart attack or stroke. There's still so much to see. Ask about next generation Eylea HD, a treatment retina specialists trust.
Home inspectors, contractors, roofers. All kinds of pros recommend Leaf Filter. Why? Topped by stainless steel micro mesh, Leaf Filter is engineered for protection. In testing, Leaf Filter handles double the water volume of common hood-style guards without overflow. Our product design is driven by relentless innovation, ensuring optimal performance even in the toughest storms. And we back it all with a lifetime clog-free guarantee.
Call 833-LEAF-FILTER or visit leaffilter.com.
I'm scared for you. I'm scared that we became this world.
The world didn't become this way. It's always been this way. Keep running! This isn't the end of a fight. This is the start of one.
It's the end of a long day, but your mind's still racing. Meet Super Calm from Nello, PhD formulated with ashwagandha, L-theanine, magnesium glycinate, and vitamin D3 to help support relaxation and healthy cortisol levels. Super Calm from Nello.
This is the mattress America has waited 250 years for. Consumer Reports recommended, crafted and assembled in the USA.
Because the American dream can't happen unless we all get some serious American sleep. Oh my God!
Anybody who's struggling with alcohol should try Or Health. Within a week, the cravings were completely gone. Or Health is safe, science-backed, and it works. I couldn't believe how easy it was. Alcohol doesn't run my life anymore.
Text Newsmax to 710-710 to learn more.
The first time I experienced vertigo, the room was spinning, like I was in a clothes dryer. Then I started taking LipoBalance support. Its ingredients are clinically shown to help reduce dizziness and spinning. Take back control with lipoflavonoid.
48% of Americans aren't getting enough magnesium, which is essential for nerve, bone, and muscle health. I recommend Cunol High Absorption Magnesium Glycinate. It's gentle on the stomach and helps you get the full benefits of magnesium. Cunol, the brand I trust.
Welcome back. Senator Rand Paul has gotten his hands on the diary of Tony Fauci, the man who funded the creation of a virus that killed millions of people and somehow came out a hero. Paul posting online what Fauci wrote privately and what he told the country about the actual pandemic are two different stories. Fauci's diary entries span from 2019 to 2022. They're extremely damaging for the man who once claimed that he represented science himself. On lockdowns, Fauci wrote March 15, 2020, right? This is the first day of the pandemic. I spoke with de Blasio, mayor of New York, convinced him, based on what I was saying publicly in my conversation tonight, to close the New York City schools. I went on to tell him he should close the bars and restaurants too, and that's where it all began. Adding, I had a similar call with Ann O'Leary from Newsom's campaign in California. Ann said that based on my TV appearances today and yesterday, the governor has decided to close the schools in California, bars and restaurants as well. But here was Fauci 2 years later, after we saw all the damage that those decisions had done.
They always come back and say Fauci was responsible for closing schools. I had nothing to do.
I mean,
let's get down to the facts.
You're not the head of a school board.
Exactly.
He's a bad little man. Bad little man. It's not just lockdowns. In Fauci's diary, February 8, 2020, he concedes COVID's fatality rate much lower than expected, 0.2 to 0.3% rather than 2%, which again leads you to, let's just do herd immunity. Let's just get everybody, let's just get through this. Some people are going to die. You're not going to stop that anyway. 1 month after that diary entry, Dr. Fauci testified to Congress saying this.
The stated mortality overall of this, when you look at all the data, including China, is about 3%. It first started off as 2 and now 3.
Oh, so he's lying again in front of Congress. You see why he needed that pardon from Joe Biden. When it comes to the lab leak theory, and again, this was, I think, the doozy. Fauci writes, January 26, 2020, we know the market was not the source. It was the amplifier. Why? Because he was the source. His funding of gain-of-function research was the source of the pandemic. Translated, he ruled out that COVID started from the wet market even before the virus hit the United States. Even before we locked down, he knew that that virus came from the Wuhan lab. In another diary entry, Fauci details a conference call he held with a dozen other scientists February 1, 2020, a couple weeks before it all started. Their conversation centered around whether or not COVID was a result of a lab leak. Fauci said only 2 of the scientists thought that the virus came from the wet market. The other 10 felt that deliberate insertion was possible, while highlighting the work of the main Chinese scientists working at the Wuhan lab, despite the overwhelming private consensus favoring the lab leak theory. A week after the conference call, Fauci was going with the proximal origins paper, the wet market lie. So after he knew, he then started lying and saying, oh, we didn't create this. And sounded like this when asked if COVID could have come from the Wuhan lab.
I think ultimately we know that these things come from an animal reservoir. I've heard these conspiracy theories, and like all conspiracy theories, Newt, they're just conspiracy theories. Is it impossible that that could have happened? I don't think I can say that it's not impossible.
Brad Wenstrup is a former Republican congressman who served as the chairman of the House Select Subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic. And, sir, it's good to have you back on. In addition to all the lies that are again revealed with his diary, he was also very, very vain and in love with his fame. May 21, 2020, he lists the number of COVID deaths and then says, big front page article about me in the Post, very flattering. The situation with my national and international fame is explosive and really unimaginable, adding it's not hyperbole to say that today I am the most famous and talked about person in the country, one of the most recognizable people in the world. How do you describe Tony Fauci, Brad?
Well, he's certainly very much in love with himself and the fame that he had acquired during this time. This is a brilliant man. I mean, for years, he was noted as a very brilliant scientist, and over at NIH, he was well regarded. But he was a big advocate of gain-of-function research. He even as far back as 2012, Rob, somebody asked him about it may be getting out of a lab and creating a pandemic if you go ahead with this. And he said, I think the benefits outweigh the risk, because he felt if he could create it, he could cure it, and then he'd be the hero. I mean, I think that this was a lab leak. All the information we have leads to that. I don't think it was intentional, but nonetheless, he signed the grant that allowed EcoHealth Alliance to go to Wuhan, China, in a risky lab and do gain-of-function research. And what they described is the very way that you could make COVID-19. So some people have some blood on their hands potentially, right? Because you could make this, and it was being done over there. When he called the wet market an amplifier, it was. I believe that it was, but it was an amplifier of what leaked from the lab, not what came from nature, because we've never found an animal. But when you see this man, he's covering this up. We were looking for cures, then we were looking for the origins of COVID, and then we were looking for the origins of the cover-up, not only from China, but then from within our own government. Because even if it came from nature, fame mattered more to Dr. Fauci than people dying.
Yeah.
That's the sad part
Really
of
gross.
telling the truth.
And you say he's
my
brilliant. You know, I mean, you said he was brilliant, and I mean, yeah, he's probably intelligent, but I do think there's a lot of brilliant people that have no street smarts whatsoever. And at the end of the day, for as brilliant as he may be, he funded the creation of a virus that killed millions of people. And somewhere inside of all that ego is the knowledge of what he did. And he'll never be able to get away from that. And tomorrow, I think on Wednesday, Rand Paul is going to eviscerate him for that.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah.
And I would tell you, I said people regarded him as brilliant. And he carried that into just saying, I can do no wrong, basically, and anything I say goes. He put together the team to say that it came from nature when they amongst themselves were saying this thing looks engineered. And it's when he got the word that this looked engineered, that's when he ran and put that team together, announced it on the White House lawn. I don't think he told President Trump or Vice President Pence. He just did it.
Brett,
but in my opening statement, I talked about how he had bobbleheads made. He's throwing out opening pitches, dancing with the stars. I mean, this is not who we need leading our country during a hard time like a pandemic.
No, it certainly is. And I want to get to one more with you that you know a lot about. We only have a minute left. Biden's ghostwriter audio tapes have been released. They just came in today. The tapes that had Biden in hot water for sharing classified information when he was trying to get a book written with his ghostwriter. Take a listen to some of this audio.
Just found all the classified stuff downstairs. I wrote the president a handwritten 40-page memorandum. Next thing I have here is this is classified. It's all it goes to the 17th.
It's all classified, he said. You know, he was investigated, absolved of this. They treat classified documents a little differently, depending on who you are, I guess.
Absolutely. And, you know, I have a feeling things like this have been going on for a long time. But when you have the media and you have the agencies that would be investigating you in your pocket or standing by you, regardless of the crimes you may have committed, we have a real problem in our country. And it's time that we, the people, took the country back over again.
Well said. Brad Wenstrup, good to see you, sir. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. The reality that leftists refuse to accept an Islamic terror attack on a gay pride parade in Berlin. Next.
For pain in multiple spots like here, here, or here, Salonpas patches stick firmly and remove comfortably once your pain is gone. Salonpas. It's good medicine.
Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America. Most investors believe their IRA, 401k, and bank accounts are reliable and safe. But what if our economy becomes so dire that you're restricted from accessing your own money? The fact is that should your bank be in trouble for holding bad loans, the burden could fall on you to help bail them out. Even more concerning is that U.S. financial regulations allow banks to impose withdrawal limits on your hard-earned savings. But there's something you can do about it. Our team at Swiss America has a report called The Secret War on Cash. Learn how to protect yourself with assets that can remain outside the control of banks and other financial institutions. For over 40 years, Swiss America has been one of the most trusted metal firms in the country. So don't wait. Call or text the number on your screen today for financial peace of mind in these uncertain times.
Well, I could feel the pull, everyone all around. When we're together.
The first day back from maternity leave is so weird. We get it. Find a caregiver who does too. Join now for 20% off care.com.
Now, tirzepatide for weight management is available in a dissolvable tablet. It's not the injection and doesn't offer the same strength or clinical evidence as the injectable form, and results will differ from the injection. But for patients who don't want shots, this tablet option is worth exploring. Understanding results will differ from the injection. Tirzepatide tablets are a prescription that starts with a telehealth evaluation by a licensed physician who reviews your health history. And if it's right for you, they prescribe it. This might be worth a conversation.
The body gives it away. You can't help but wonder what they're on. Something that never lets me down. Armra. I'm on it.
Welcome back. Germany, France, Canada, all seeing terror attacks over the weekend. All three nations self-destructing with globalist immigration policies as well, so it's not really surprising. In Germany over the weekend, an Islamic terror attack killing one woman, injuring 29 others. A lone terrorist driving into a Berlin Pride parade. This has become such a thing in Germany. They've had to put those bollards up everywhere just to protect people when they have parades. The guy then jumps out of the car, starts slashing people with a machete before he's killed by the cops. 21-year-old Abdul Balaut, described as a German citizen with Lebanese roots, being part of Berlin's Islamist scene, also described that way as well in the newspaper article. Balaut was a previously convicted terrorist, arrested last year in Lebanon with the goal of going to Syria to join ISIS. He was sentenced to 3 months in prison, and then the German government said, please come back to Germany after 3 months in jail. This is how suicidal these countries have become. Link Lauren is the host of Spot On with Link Lauren. Alex Marlow, editor of Breitbart. Good to have you both here, guys. Link, will the left ever admit that a free and tolerant society, the kind of society that can have gay pride parades, does not mix at all with Islam?
Well, it's great to be back with you, Rob. You know, this terrorist attack in Berlin, while it's horrific, it's not shocking, because this is what happens when you continue to import people into your country, into the West, who don't want to assimilate, who want to destroy you, who don't respect your customs or norms whatsoever. They hate gay people. They want women to go back to the Stone Ages. They're willing to drive cars through crowds. That's how much they want to destroy you. And so I'm not saying we can't let people into our country, but we need to have a much more rigorous vetting system. This is a guy who had been arrested for having ties to ISIS. He was let go because of soft on crime policies. We're seeing the same thing in New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago. All of these liberal cities are letting criminals run amok. So there will be copycats, I hate to say. There will be more incidents like this, but we need to be cautious. It doesn't make you heartless, right? That you don't want people in your country who want to destroy you. That is suicidal empathy to open your borders to people who hate you.
Alex, you know, they want to be so tolerant that they accept the intolerant into their communities. But it's so antithetical. But it's like, we're so tolerant that we're going to bring in people that want to kill us because they're intolerant.
Yeah, I don't think the irony is lost on anyone that their tolerance of Islamism made it so that it's not safe to have a gay pride event. So the left is going to have to square this stuff. But this goes even a step further. Link mentioned toxic empathy, or how that's suicidal empathy. Yeah. This guy was slated to be in some sort of a court-ordered therapy today. He was supposed to be court-ordered therapy because, remember, he got released early from his terror charge. That's what's so crazy about this is this was a known quantity. They let him out, and he said, cool, I'll just take the therapy, and then I can go about murdering gay people, which is exactly what he attempted to do. He got at least one of them. This is a warning to everyone, but sadly, the pattern is people don't heed the warning.
Yeah, well, he got his therapy. He got his head blown off by a cop. But, I mean, just it's such a ridiculous moment we're in right now where you're seeing us. Let's try to blend together pride and trans with Islam in this lunatic society that we've created here in the West. Link, let's go to Canada. There's other examples. 23-year-old arrested this weekend, driving his vehicle through a packed playground with kids. Somehow had some good parents there. Nobody got hurt. Missed everybody. Suspect Arab. Ismail Abrahimzad. In Toronto, 2 Jewish bakeries. Somebody firing into both of those. The U.S. consulate in Toronto also shot at earlier this year, the second time. In Paris, you had an Islamic terror attack. A terrorist arrested yesterday, stabbing 3 random women with a knife. Broad daylight in Paris. Paris, they have completely destroyed. Such a shame. The attacker reportedly claimed that Allah ordered him to do it. Link, these examples are everywhere, and somehow we never learn.
Yeah, it's because these people, they don't just come in because, hey, they're bad guys. They have no desire to assimilate whatsoever. They want to destroy you because you're white, you're black, you're Christian, you're Catholic, you're Jewish. Their mandate is to bring their Sharia law into your country. It is going to become Gotham City on the streets if you don't put your foot down and put a stop to this, because these people are radicals for a reason. And it doesn't mean we're xenophobic, doesn't mean we're heartless. It's just the fact, Rob.
It's exactly right. Alex, one more to you before I let you guys go, and that's, I want to come back here to New York for a second. You've got the mayor. He hates Netanyahu. We know what he thinks of Israel and the Jews. He's telling everybody to protest Netanyahu after accusing him of war crimes being thrown in The Hague. What do you make of, though, when they talk to him, Alex? He's very clever, and he always talks about how we need to get rid of anti-Semitism, and he'll say like something that makes you feel like he's very much on the side of everyone. I don't think he is, but he's very crafty with his politics, isn't he?
He really is. I watched this entire press conference. It was 50 minutes because I knew I was going to be talking about it with you today, Rob. And he is such a deft politician. He manages to not answer a single question. And he does make you feel like he's always on your side. If you're a Jewish person in New York and you just catch a snippet, you think, hey, this guy's not so bad. But what he's doing is he is enabling Islamism to thrive in New York while he's ignoring all sorts of actual problems facing the city while he goes about installing a socialist grocery stores.
Yeah. I don't know why he hates the Jews so much. They all voted for him. You know, it's like it's funny how that works. Such a shame. Alex, Link, good to see you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, remember this lady, the woke head of Cracker Barrel? Remember that face? The one who destroyed the brand? We have an update next.
Attention! Do you owe money to the IRS? If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this message, because new Trump-era tax policy changes are providing relief to the American taxpayer. IRS policy changes in 2025 and 2026 have created new ways to resolve debt. Tax Relief Helpers knows exactly how to navigate them and could help you save thousands. Just call 800-357-9528 to protect your assets, home, and retirement.
I owed $87,000 in taxes. Tax Relief Helpers got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
I got behind on my taxes and I owed $48,000. I called, and after they told me about the changes at the IRS, they got my bill fully removed.
We save Americans millions of dollars in tax debt every year, and we can help you. Call right now to take advantage of the latest Trump-era tax deductions to protect your assets, home, and retirement from the IRS. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call 800-357-9528. That's 800-357-9528. Attention! Do you owe money to the IRS? If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this message, because new Trump-era tax policy changes are providing relief to the American taxpayer. IRS policy changes in 2025 and 2026 have created new ways to resolve debt. Tax Relief Helpers knows exactly how to navigate them and could help you save thousands. Just call 800-357-9528 to protect your assets, home, and retirement.
I owed $87,000 in taxes. tax relief helpers got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
I got behind on my taxes and I owed $48,000. I called, and after they told me about the changes at the IRS, they got my bill fully removed.
We save Americans millions of dollars in tax debt every year, and we can help you. Call right now to take advantage of the latest Trump-era tax deductions to protect your assets, home, and retirement from the IRS. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call 800-357-9528. That's 800-357-9528.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. With Ethos, it's so fast and easy. Get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage.
Check your price today at ethos.com.
At GovX.com, service wears many uniforms. Military, first responders, government workers. Your service should be rewarded. Unlock special savings at GovX.com on over 2,000 top brands. Join for free today at GovX.com.
Kevin Sorbo here, and I have an important message to share. The government needs more money, your money. If you owe the IRS back taxes, they can garnish your wages and levy your bank accounts. They can even seize your retirement or take your home. Don't let the IRS target you. Call the professionals at Tax Network USA. Their tax lawyers and enrolled agents are experts in powerful programs that may even help you eliminate your tax debt.
Call for a free consultation or visit tnusa.com.
How easy is it to order lottery tickets with Jackpocket? Step 1, grab your phone. Step 2, download Jackpocket and order tickets for your favorite state lottery games. Step 3, let the good times roll.
New Jackpocket customers get $10 instantly in lottery credits when you deposit just $5.
I am a big believer in super beta prostate. You'll notice less urges to urinate, and you won't be getting up at night for so many bathroom trips. I wouldn't say it if I didn't truly believe it.
Welcome back. Time now for news from the left. You likely missed the WNBA All-Star game this weekend. A lot of air balls, unless Caitlin Clark had the ball. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, though, was in attendance, proclaiming everyone watches women's sports. Really? WNBA refusing the patriotic USA 250 patch during the game, becoming the only American pro sport to reject the patch, by the way. When they were first proposed, a WNBA exec said they should have thought that through, considering no WNBA players would have been free 250 years ago. The majority wouldn't even have had their freedom 100 years ago. So again, the endless victimhood. Next up, Joy Reid attempting to slam Elon Musk.
You've been spending a decade insisting and telling us Elon Musk is a genius. When you hear him talk, you realize he's actually an idiot. But you keep telling him, but he invented Tesla, when he didn't. He just bought it. There's two other white dudes invented Tesla. They're geniuses. Elon just bought it. And now people think, oh, he's a genius. No, he's not.
What was the genius, I guess, was that putting batteries in cars? I think we were going to come up with that anyway. But let's just give a little update to Joy Reid. She ain't the brightest. When Elon joined Tesla, the company was worth around $30 million, and that included the $7 million that he brought into the company himself. It was at its infancy. By the way, today it's worth $1.2 trillion. 30 million, 1.2 trillion. But he's an idiot, right? Next up, transgender dolls with removable genitalia debuting in Minnesota classrooms this fall to kids as young as 4 years old. Sounds fun. Paper dolls with gender-neutral names will have removable internal and external genitals. According to the website My Gender Dolls, the trans doll promises to make gender fun, especially for whatever pervert teacher is using them. Next up, Katy Perry slamming the White House for using her hit song Firework in a TikTok video without her permission. White House using it to show military strikes on Iran. The singer posting that she's deeply appalled and angry to see Firework used, adding she wrote it to be an anthem of hope and healing and inner strength, not celebrating warfare. What exactly does Katy Perry think fireworks are? Because that's exactly what they're for. It's for warfare, celebrating of warfare and independence via war. And finally, Cracker Barrel CEO Julie Fells Messino. Remember that face? Can you tell who she voted for? Finally stepping down after her failed woke rebrand last year. Diners revolted against the company's attempt to modernize the Southern dining chain by scrapping the original logo for this much lamer version on the right. The company also tried remodeling their restaurants, but then did another 180, trying to keep the cherished old country store look after the revolt. Messino going to be replaced by a guy that is the CEO of a company that owns Outback Steakhouse. So getting back to their roots, not another New York chick. All right, highlights from Trump's Friday speech at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Had some doozies up next.
When you're in the news business, it never stops. News is always breaking, and it's my job to get you the news, no spin, no BS. If you don't believe us, just watch us.
Watch Finity, weeknights, only on Newsmax.
Attention homeowners, does your roof look like this? If so, your whole home is at risk for costly damage and repairs. Protect it today with a metal roof from Erie Home. Our roofs are tested to withstand wind up to 120 miles per hour. While hail and heavy snow can destroy traditional shingles, with an Erie metal roof, it's no problem. And they're built to last with a 50-year transferable warranty. And if you call now, get up to 50% off installation. Schedule your free estimate today. Call 1-866-770-ERIE or visit eriehome.com.
Your sciatic nerve pain is real. Here's what real customers have to say about MagnaLife Leg and Back Pain Relief Cream. It provided me with the only relief for my sciatica. It's a miracle cream. It really works.
Available at your local retailer.
I wanted to have control over drinking instead of alcohol having control over me. I started with Or Health about a year ago. It put the brakes on that I had been looking for. I can drink less and say no, and it's the best feeling in the world.
Text Newsmax to 710-710 to learn more.
At Omaha Steaks, we take premium aged steak and turn it into pure ground burgers like this. Our Burger Perfection flight comes with 20 big, juicy burgers, all for just $79.99 at omahasteaks.com/TV. Burger Perfection, guaranteed.
Millions of Americans rely on a statin to reduce cholesterol, but statins can deplete CoQ10 levels. I recommend Cunol CoQ10 with 3 times better absorption and the #1 cardiologist recommended form. It helps replenish what statins deplete. Cunol, the brand I trust.
When I look at this picture, I feel failure. I'm failing my wife, my children, and I'm gonna die soon. I've tried keto, I've tried fasting. I would lose weight and then gain everything back. I needed to do something. I came across LifeMD, signed up, it was extremely simple, and in the first month, I lost 32 pounds. This works, obviously. I'm down 182 pounds in 14 months. It's changed my life. I'm a better husband, a better father. This is the best decision in my entire life.
Get Zepbound, Wegovy, and the new Wegovy pill at the lowest cost with or without insurance at joinlifemd.com.
They said that it couldn't get any better, but it just did. Meet the all-new Patriot Power Generator 2200X, our most powerful portable solar generator ever. And right now, during our launch event, you'll get 2 100-watt solar panels, absolutely free. No gas, no fumes, no noise. Just reliable, renewable backup power strong enough to run your fridge for 3 days straight. A freezer, even critical medical devices from safely inside your home. You gotta act now to get the new Patriot Power Generator 2200X and 2 free 100-watt solar panels.
And finally tonight, Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, a little montage of the best moments.
Tremendous amount was learned about security. But just like my presidency, the second time is always better. And the third time will be better yet. I know it was not easy finding shoes to go along with your bulletproof vest. I hope that everyone finally got to enjoy their entire very delicious beef tenderloin. I want you all to know that Bobby Kennedy, who's right here, personally ran over the cow in his car. Just remember, before I came along, if you wanted to see someone lose consciousness on the south lawn of the White House, all you had to do is ask Joe Biden a question.
Hey, I get no respect, huh? Tough crowd in that room.
Yeah, well, what do you expect? You know, I went to the assassination attempt White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Yeah.
But I didn't make it to this one.
Bigger, better, double.
I went to the one with the gunshots. I had to see all those people and then not see Trump speak. How disappointing is that?
Yes, and remember that? We were talking about going down to that. This one, like 300 losers in one room. And it's if Democrats make jokes, like when Obama makes jokes about Republicans, oh my gosh, it's the best night ever.
Oh, but when they spit their drink.
When it's Trump, it's like, did you see CNN? They were like clutching their pearls all day today.
They hate him so much.
How dare you insult Caitlin Collins? Guys, it was a joke. It's the point. It was a roast.
That's what it is.
All right,
they
Rob.
roast him every day.
Yes. We'll do it tomorrow.
All right.
Infinity starts now.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.